also going to talk to Jack Wingett, theater professor at Baldwin Wallace College. Jack has written and is directing a multimedia docudrama called A Nightmare of Crime. It's a stirring depiction of the Sonderkommando forces in Nazi Germany during the Holocaust. I've spent some time with the cast during their first read-through and also during a moving presentation by Holocaust survivor Max Edelman, who spoke to the cast about his time in a concentration camp during the Holocaust. You don't want to miss this, so stay tuned and thanks for watching Callback. Jack, you wrote A Nightmare of Crime. What was it that made you first become inspired to write a play about the Holocaust?
My father-in-law was a World War II vet. He went into Normandy, and the Normandy beaches. He was wounded. He got the Purple Heart. He got the Bronze Star. He went in on these gliders, behind C-47s that would fly in, and. He just had a hell of a time. And then near the end of the war, where the Allies were close to a place in Poland, and I really don't know where that is, he was asked to, because he could speak Polish, to help release prisoners from a mine. And so said, sure, fine. He did that, and he said, Jack, he says, as these things came up, as these people came up, these things, I didn't mean it like that, but as these people came up, he said they were like apparitions. He said, and he every time he told the story, he broke into tears. He said their skin was translucent. They couldn't. They were blinking in the light. They couldn't see. If you gave them some food, you had to be careful. They didn't eat too much too soon, or they'd die. He said it was the most tragic thing I'd ever seen in my life. How they looked. He passed away, and I found in his things this manuscript, in kind of a rough format, called Amidst a Nightmare of Crime. It had been published by the Auschwitz Museum. And they had collected 6 letters, or 6 gentlemen's letters that they had found on the grounds of Auschwitz. And they had taken these things and put them together. Again, one of the people, this Langfuss, was a Longfoot, Jewish name, but he had said in there, he said, if you please, he said, if you find my material, put all, and everybody that's written something, put it together and put it under Amidst a Nightmare of Crime. That's why my title, I don't use the amidst, but A Nightmare of Crime, to kind of honor these people. And initially I thought, well, these were folks that probably wanted to be remembered personally. Not so. They wanted the outside world to know what the devil was going on. And these Sonderkommando, and that's what there's stories of 6 Sonderkommando at Auschwitz, and they, near the end of the war, when they knew the Russians were coming to release them, they tried to leave these messages. And they also were, as Sonderkommandos, they took people into the crematorium, they took them out of the crematorium, they cut the hair, they knocked out the gold teeth, they took them, put them in the ovens, they took, from there. I mean, it was just a horrific thing. And the Germans would keep these people by themselves.
We had little means of communication among ourselves and those in the other camp. October 6, 1944, men from our commando wanted to begin the action at once. Then the next day the Nazis arrived to take 300 Sonderkommando to the gas. The men, showing immense courage, refused to budge.
So no, they didn't have any other contact with any other group of prisoners. About after 2 or 3 months, they would kill one group off, bring another group in. They didn't want the word to get out what was going on. Well, these Sonderkommandos, knowing that they were going to die, had a revolution at the end where most of them did in fact die.
Finally, they were marched out before their fellow inmates and hanged. As the ropes were lowered over their heads, they shouted, "Revenge! Be strong! Long live Poland!"
But before they did that, they hid, they took old canteens or behind barracks boards or in glass bottles, anything that they could, wrote these scratchings down, some of them very poetic, and hid them, sometimes under the ashes and bones of their brethren, or sometimes behind a barrack board or whatever.
So what's the format of A Nightmare of Crime going to be Is it a fictionalized account of true story events, or what is the sort of conceit of the piece?
I call it a docudrama, and it's based on documents that I've discovered.
I watched him for a while, but noticed nothing peculiar in his behavior. Later, he was sitting on a corpse, eating with the others, as though nothing had happened. Was he really able to hide his emotions so completely? Or had he become too brutalized to care even about this?
You mentioned multimedia. What's that about?
Ah, yeah. I had pretty good fortune with it. And at that point, on each screen above, we're going to see a picture of Natalia and baby, right? She will begin singing on screen, and then it will transfer down on stage and is a kind of a lullaby. And what we did is we used the visual and interviews, and we also did filming interviews too, that existed in the script. So I combined the film, I combined still pictures that we might have used, and I combined live acting in order to tell the story.
While they dragged the corpses around, they ate, or they smoked. They did not stop eating even when enraged on the grisly job of burning corpses, which had been lying for some time in mass graves.